October the 20th and 22. Homeowners are jolted awake in the dead of night when a vehicle violently crashes into their house. Witnesses run outside to find the driver, a woman with dark hair and black workout gear, frantically revving the engine in a desperate attempt to dislodge her car from the structure. When the vehicle refuses to budge, she abandons it and flees the scene on foot. Minutes later, police pull over a truck leaving the immediate area and find a highly intoxicated woman named Stacy sitting in the passenger seat next to her elderly father. Despite perfectly matching the witness's vivid physical description and her own car being permanently embedded in a living room half a block away, Stacy insists she hasn't been driving and has absolutely no idea what crash the officers are talking about. Taking just 2 seconds to hit that like button means the absolute world to me, and it truly helps this channel continue bringing you these detailed breakdowns.
Hi, how are you?
Well, it was better about 15 minutes ago.
Yeah.
I think she had a little... Well, my wife said I think she's impaired. I think she was too.
Yeah. So you didn't see the crash. You heard it.
No, I heard it and I looked and there was a car against my house.
And then you saw her get out? You helped her
No,
out?
I thought she wanted to get out. I didn't care if she got out, wanted to look around, but she just headed down the alley.
Okay. Did you follow her to her house?
No, I recognized her after a while. I hadn't seen her dressed up like that before.
Oh, so you know who she is?
Well, I don't know her name, but I've seen her.
So, heard the crash and you did what? So you came over and...
Well, I could see it from there when I looked.
Yeah.
Yeah. What the hell?
Okay.
Yeah.
So then what?
I just hustled over there and see, well, she was all right, and she had the window cracked, and she kept starting to revving the engine and stuff, and trying to get going.
Okay.
I don't know if it would go or not. Probably should, but I just told her to shut it off.
Okay. What did she look like, the one driving?
Dark hair,
Dark hair,
nice looking girl.
nice looking girl,
Hispanic.
Nicely dressed.
Is it?
nicely dressed.
I didn't know that. She's Hispanic.
What was she wearing?
Black.
Well, my wife said black.
All black. She had like pants on like that, like the spandex ones.
Like
and
black
then,
spandex pants, like workout pants.
And then the top was black too.
Top was black as well.
Let me go get my phone.
Hi there.
How you doing?
Not too bad. How are you guys? The reason I ended up pulling you guys over, you guys were coming from that area over there. Did you end up just getting in a crash?
No.
No?
Not me.
Okay. Did you?
No, we live around there, but
Yep.
yeah.
What's your name?
My name?
Yep.
Stacy.
Stacy.
Yeah.
So if I run that black car, the registered owner is not going to come back to you or him?
The black
What
car.
happened?
That hit the tree?
What do you mean?
10-4, I've got her over here. It is Stacy.
Oh my God.
Okay. So, Stacy, can I have you come out of the car so I can talk to you a little bit more?
Come on. Do what he says. Otherwise you're gonna have trouble.
We'll head back over here, okay? Okay. I appreciate it. So,
No problem.
are you ready to be honest with me now?
Yeah.
Okay, so what happened?
What do you mean?
What happened with the crash?
What crash?
You ended up hitting a tree. Do you remember that?
No.
No?
No, I
Okay.
don't.
You're not going to be honest with me right now?
Well, I mean, I'm
A
not.
neighbor said they saw you get picked up.
Huh?
A neighbor said they saw you get picked up.
Oh, the neighbor did?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, I mean, that's fine.
Okay.
That's fine. Good.
Nora 148 headquarters. Do I have another unit heading my way, or 180? You want to head this way? So I have a second. Now before you can 22 hunt is over here. Okay. So, Stacy, I want you to be honest with me. You were in a crash, okay? So,
Well, I wasn't, but
okay, you got in a crash. You ended up getting picked up. You just want to talk to him?
Yeah.
I'm good. Thank you. So I'm giving you a chance to kind of give me your side of the story of what's going on right now.
I mean, there's really no side of the story to give. I don't understand what you're wanting me to give you.
Okay, well, I want you to be honest with me. That's what I want you to give me.
Well, there's nothing to be honest about. I mean,
Okay, so where were you coming from then?
what do you mean?
Where were you just coming from?
Right now? With my dad?
That's your dad?
Yeah.
Got
From
it,
my
okay.
home. From my home.
Temple.
Yeah. So,
Okay, so you were at your home?
yeah.
At your home?
I was at my house. Yeah.
Good. Okay,
Yeah. So, I don't know.
Temple. Okay, so you were at your house, and then your dad came over to pick you up then?
Yeah.
Okay. And then your car, where should that be right now?
Probably close to my house.
Close to your house?
Yeah.
What do you mean close to your house?
Well, or at my house. I mean, why
Once
are
you-
you
once you
asking
know-
me-
once you know where your car
why
is?
are you asking me that right now?
Stacy, once you know where your car is? If somebody asked me where my car was, I'd be like, if I'm home, it's at
Yeah,
home.
well, my car should be at my house then.
Okay, that's not what you said. You said it should be close to home.
Well, why are you questioning me about that?
Because I want you to tell me the truth, Stacy. That's what I. That's
Well,
why.
and I'm going to tell you the truth.
Okay,
I'm
what's
gonna
the
tell
truth?
you right now.
Okay.
The truth is, like, my car is, like, probably at my house. And, you know, I'm sitting here with my dad as a, you know,
Okay. So if he's talking to your dad right now. What is your dad gonna say? Just
he's going to tell you the same thing I did.
that what?
I mean, it's fine. That I don't understand what the problem is here.
Well, the problem is you're not being truthful to me.
Listen, I appreciate you guys like no other, but the problem is well, there is no problem. I mean, honestly and truly. I mean,
Okay.
really.
Okay. But
Really.
the thing is this officer right here, this lieutenant over here, ended up having conversations with
And that's fine.
neighbors who
And that's fine.
saw you walk away.
Well, the house that you crashed into.
And that's fine.
Saw you walk away.
Well, the house that you crashed into, they talked to you and tried to get you to stay there.
Well, I didn't crash into anybody's neighbors.
Your car is stuck in their house.
Well, that's hearsay.
It's not hearsay. It's actually not hearsay. I just talked to them.
Well, it is, because where's my car?
I just told you it's like rammed into the side of a house about a half a block from your house right before you got picked up.
Well, maybe
So-
it is.
I'm just gonna tell you, like,
Or maybe it's not.
just what's your first name, Stacy?
Yeah?
Stacy, like at this point, the best thing that you can do, because I know that you said already that you like respect police and stuff like that, is just be honest with us, because we're already way past the stage of like, where is your car and how did you get here and where did you just come from? We're way past that. It's not helping your cause any. So if you are honest with Noah, down the road it might help you, because I mean, I don't know. I can't make any promises there, but just be honest with us about this. There's nothing to hide anymore. We already know what happened. Okay? We've been doing this a long time. This isn't our first day on the job.
Well, I know it's not your first job on the rodeo.
So
I
why
know
don't you
that.
just tell us what happened so we can move along with this?
Well, I'm not gonna...
Was somebody else driving your car?
No, absolutely not.
So it was just you driving.
Well, I wasn't driving.
But you just told me absolutely not, nobody else was driving. Was somebody
Here's
else
the
behind
thing.
the wheel of your
Here,
car?
you wanna
Okay,
hear
we're
the
not going to
whole-
play games with you about this, and we're not going to play 30 questions.
Do you want to hear the whole thing?
Like the truth, you mean?
Yeah, like All right, fine. Here's the
Yeah, just be honest with us.
Well, you know what? And I've been honest with you guys for, I can't even believe.
Okay, but today you haven't been, and we just want you to be honest today. I know this is tough, and it's.
And I want
you're
to know, I just honestly, am I going to go to jail?
Let's just worry about job one here, which is explain to us.
But I honestly want to know, am I going to go to jail?
We are not there yet. We haven't decided any of
I
that.
please don't want to go to jail.
Okay.
I really don't want to.
Okay.
I have a good lawyer,
That's totally fine.
Michael.
Yep. I know Mike. Mike's a good guy.
But yeah, well, he is.
But you just got to be straight with us. And I know you're scared because there's 3 cop cars here, and it's a hard thing to do. But we got people whose house is damaged. Your car is lodged against the side of their house. You got out of the car. They talked to you. You walked away. People saw you get into a car and leave.
What?
People saw you get into this car and leave the scene.
Well, I wasn't driving.
This car. I know you're not driving this
Yeah,
car.
my dad was driving.
Right.
Right.
But tell us what happened over there with your car.
You want me to tell you what happened over there with my car?
Yes.
What, when my dad was driving?
Okay, so Stacy, at this point, your dad already confirmed that you weren't home. You ended up coming home.
Yeah.
So again, like Lieutenant Piper said, we already know what happened. That's not the ordeal. We're just giving you a chance to tell us what's going on and whatnot. So at this point, what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask you: would you be willing to do some testing to make sure that you were okay to drive at that point?
I wasn't driving, though.
Okay, this isn't an argument anymore. I'm not going to argue with you about that anymore.
I understand what you're saying, but I wasn't driving.
Okay, like I said, I'm not going to argue about that. I'm giving you a chance. If you want to do some testing, you can. That's up to you.
But why would I do testing if I wasn't driving?
I'm going to stand over here so the sunlight's not in my eyes. But
why would I do testing if I wasn't driving? I mean, I really appreciate everything that you do.
Because you were, Stacy. That's...
No, I was
like I said,
not driving.
I'm not going to argue with you about that.
My dad was driving.
Okay. Your dad already confirmed that he was not driving the black car.
No, he was, though. He's driving the vehicle. And so, I mean, what can I do?
Okay.
I don't want to...
Right now, what you can do is you can give me an answer on whether you would want to do some field testing right now.
No, I don't want to, because he's the guy that was driving the, you know.
Okay. So you're passing your options to do the field testing?
Yeah.
Okay. So at this point, you're going to be under arrest, okay?
Why?
Because you're very intoxicated.
Why am I being arrested, though? I don't understand why I'm being arrested.
Sure, you're being arrested for operating under the influence.
Why would I be arrested for that, though?
Because you were driving a car and you're intoxicated.
No, my dad was driving right there.
Yep.
Vehicle.
So, yep, you're okay.
We'll walk right over
We'll
here.
walk right over to the car.
Can I talk to my dad?
In just 1 second, we're gonna
No,
walk over
I
to
want
this car.
I want to be able to talk to my dad.
Okay.
I don't have anything in here.
Okay.
Seriously.
Yeah, we got to check anyways.
Okay. Well, I'm sure you do. Well, could you get a woman to do it and not?
We don't have any available at this time.
Okay. Well, can I please talk to my dad? Because you know what?
In just a minute, yeah.
This is a bunch of bullshit.
Okay.
I mean, listen, I love what you guys do. I've always respected what you guys do. This is crazy.
Well, I appreciate you being decent with us.
Yeah, well, I'm not gonna
Yep, just... Okay. We'll walk right back to the back of the car here.
No.
I'll grab
Can
your,
I please
Yep, I'll grab your dad
I'll
and he can come talk, okay? I haven't spoken with her, but based on what happened, I believe she was into a couple of crashes. She hit a tree in a house.
Oh my God! Wow, no, this is the first I've heard of it.
That's why her car didn't make it home with her.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit concerning, that she's showing up and being upset. If she's been drinking, certainly that's a concern because she hit somebody's house, right? Like somebody
Hit
could.
the house itself.
Yeah, yeah. Anybody else show up with her when she got there?
No.
Did she say she was with somebody?
No, she babbled something. I was with, and then
Nobody was
I
with
couldn't
her?
make any sense of. No, nobody. She was alone.
Okay.
Like honestly, I couldn't make. I said, what happened? What happened? I couldn't make sense of anything.
Sure.
She was probably so worked up.
Okay. Well, I appreciate the help. Again, I don't think you probably witnessed what happened, same as I didn't, and we're both trying to piece together stuff based on.
I'm still. Now I'm learning.
Sure. That's her dad.
Yeah.
They live together. He was just leaving the house and saw her all frazzled. I was like, why don't you just come with me?
Yeah, but the victim homeowners actually saw her sitting behind the wheel and tried to hold the door shut so she couldn't get out.
Did they take pictures or anything?
No, but they're like, she's got jet black hair, black spandex, black top. We know her because she's our neighbor.
Perfect.
What am I even getting charged with?
What'd you say?
What am I getting charged with?
Right now you're getting charged with OWI.
For what?
For OWI.
But I wasn't though.
You get charged with anything else.
Well, I didn't do anything bad. When can I get out of jail?
Quick minute, and then the two of them.
I don't want to go to jail.
Well, that was incredibly difficult to watch. When we observe these high-stress encounters, the initial reaction is almost always a profound sense of frustration. As viewers, we are presented with an undeniable, objective reality. A vehicle has decimated a residential home, the driver has fled, and the suspect is caught red-handed just blocks away, wearing the exact clothing described by the victims. Yet, she sits in the passenger seat of her father's truck, looks a sworn law enforcement officer dead in the eye, and completely denies the existence of the event. It feels like an insult to our collective intelligence. However, to truly comprehend what is unfolding on the side of that dark road, we have to strip away our frustration and look at this through the clinical lenses of forensic psychology, the sociological tragedy of chronic addiction, and the robust architecture of circumstantial law. We are not watching a criminal mastermind execute a calculated legal defense. We are witnessing the complete psychological collapse of a deeply impaired human being whose brain is desperately trying to outrun a reality too devastating to accept. To understand Stacy's behavior, we must first examine the psychology of the denial loop and the concept of cognitive firewalls. When a sober, rational person makes a mistake, their prefrontal cortex evaluates the situation, assesses the damage, and generally calculates that taking responsibility is the most logical path forward to mitigate the fallout. But a brain heavily saturated with central nervous system depressants like alcohol does not operate on logic. The alcohol suppresses the prefrontal cortex, the center of reason and consequence management, and hands the steering wheel entirely over to the amygdala, which governs the primitive fight or flight response. When Stacy crashed her Jeep into that house, the sheer violence of the impact triggered a massive dump of adrenaline. Her impaired brain recognized immediate existential danger, but it lacked the cognitive bandwidth to process a rational solution. This is exactly why her first instinct was brute force, frantically revving the engine to rip the car free, and when that failed, her second instinct was pure flight. But the physical flight is only half the equation. The psychological flight is far more insidious. By the time she is sitting in her father's truck, the adrenaline is beginning to mix with the crushing realization of what she has done. For Stacy, this isn't just a hit and run, as the officers later reveal. This is her fourth operating while intoxicated. OWI charge. In the criminal justice system, a fourth OWI crosses a terrifying threshold. It elevates the crime from a serious misdemeanor to a felony, carrying the very real, inescapable threat of state prison. When Stacy's brain attempts to process the word prison, The psychological terror is so absolute that her ego simply shuts down. It builds a massive, impenetrable cognitive firewall. Admitting that she was driving means admitting her life as she knows it is effectively over. Therefore, her brain constructs a survival narrative. I was at home. I was never driving. I don't know anything about a crash. She commits to this delusion with terrifying totality. She believes, with the flawed, childlike logic of an intoxicated mind, that the legal system is built entirely on confessions. She assumes that if she simply repeats, "I wasn't driving," enough times, she can magically alter the fabric of objective reality. It is akin to a toddler covering their eyes and believing that because they cannot see you, you cannot see them. Stacy thinks that her refusal to confess acts as an invisible shield against the police investigation. This brings us directly into the fascinating legal mechanics of hit-and-run investigations and the overwhelming power of circumstantial evidence. There is a pervasive myth in our society, often fueled by television dramas, that if an officer does not physically witness you behind the wheel of a moving vehicle, they cannot arrest you for a DUI. People assume that circumstantial evidence is somehow weaker or less valid than direct evidence. In reality, the legal system relies on circumstantial evidence every single day to secure felony convictions, and in many cases, it paints a far more reliable picture than human memory ever could. Consider the net of evidence the officers are weaving together on the street. They do not need a confession. They have the crashed vehicle, which a quick license plate check confirms is registered to Stacy. They have the direct eyewitness testimony of the homeowners who stood face to face with the driver and noted her jet black hair, her black spandex pants, and her black quarter zip top. They locate Stacy mere minutes later, a fraction of a mile away, perfectly matching that highly specific physical description, smelling overwhelmingly of alcohol, and displaying clear signs of impairment. And critically, they have the immediate, spontaneous statement from her own father, who unwittingly destroys her alibi by telling the officers he had just picked her up from down the street, completely contradicting her claim that she had been safely sitting at home. In the eyes of the law, this mountain of interconnected facts establishes overwhelming probable cause. Furthermore, her decision to abandon the vehicle and lie to the officers triggers a powerful legal concept known as consciousness of guilt. In a courtroom setting, a prosecutor will explicitly point out to a jury that innocent people who get into mere accidents do not generally abandon their expensive vehicles inside the walls of someone else's living room and run away into the night. Flight is fundamentally recognized as the behavior of the guilty. Her desperate lies on the side of the road are not protecting her. They are actively giving the state more ammunition to prove that she knew exactly what she had done, and knew she was too intoxicated to remain at the scene. But perhaps the most shocking and revealing moment of this entire encounter occurs when Stacy's cognitive firewall begins to crack under the pressure of the interrogation. Realizing that her "I was at home" narrative has been dismantled by her own father's honesty, she resorts to the most toxic, panic-induced lie imaginable. She briefly attempts to claim her elderly father was the one driving the crashed car. This is where the true, ugly nature of chronic addiction steps out of the shadows. Alcoholism is often described as a disease of isolation and selfishness, and in that split second, we see it manifest perfectly. Faced with the absolute terror of a felony conviction, Stacy's impaired brain overrides decades of familial love, loyalty, and basic morality. Her survival instinct demands a scapegoat, and she doesn't hesitate to offer up the very man who just drove into the night to rescue her. It is a breathtakingly cruel moment, but from a psychological standpoint, it underscores just how profoundly chemical dependency rewires the human conscience. The truth is collateral damage, and unfortunately, so is her family. This naturally leads us to the deeply tragic sociological dynamic of the father. If you look closely at his demeanor throughout the footage, you don't see a man who is outraged at the police, nor do you see a man who is shocked by his daughter's predicament. Instead, what radiates from him is a bone-deep, soul-crushing exhaustion. When he speaks to the officers, he is quiet, compliant, and resigned. He mentions that she babbled something quick when she got into his truck, and that he couldn't make any sense of it. This is the unmistakable voice of an enabler who has reached the end of his rope. Loving an addict is a uniquely agonizing experience because it forces families into an endless cycle of crisis management. We have to assume that this father has lived through the phone calls, the bail bonds, and the court dates for OWI number 1, OWI number 2, and OWI number 3. He has likely spent years making excuses, paying legal fees, and driving out into the darkness to pick up the pieces of his daughter's shattered life. He is trapped in a tragic sociological loop where his parental instinct to protect his child directly enables her destructive behavior. The profound sadness of their dynamic reaches its absolute peak during the phone call in the back of the police cruiser. This is the moment the psychological firewall finally completely collapses. Stacy is sitting in handcuffs, the adrenaline has burned off, and the officer has officially dropped the word felony into the conversation. The roadside bravado vanishes. The sarcastic arguments about hearsay and the stubborn denials evaporate into the cold, sterile air of the patrol car. She is left alone with the crushing gravity of her reality. When she calls her father, her voice is small, stripped of all its previous arrogance. She tells him, "I'm basically screwed right now." It is the first honest thing she has said all night, and her father's response is incredibly telling. He doesn't yell, he doesn't express shock. He simply says softly, "I know, you never do mean to have this happen." That brief exchange is a devastating summary of the systemic failure of repeat impaired driving. When she tearfully insists that she didn't even mean to have any of this happen, she is highlighting the massive, tragic disconnect between intention and consequence. Nobody wakes up intending to drive their Jeep into a stranger's house. Nobody intends to catch a felony charge, but addiction fundamentally severs the link between cause and effect. The legal system operates on the premise that escalating punishments, fines, suspended licenses, mandatory classes, and eventual jail time will successfully deter future offenses. But for the chronic offender, the neurological compulsion to consume alcohol completely overrides the deterrent effect of the law. The threat of a fourth OWI didn't stop Stacy from getting behind the wheel. It only dictated how desperately she would try to lie her way out of it once the damage was done. In the end, Stacy's stubborn refusal to cooperate didn't save her from anything. By fleeing the scene, lying to the police, and refusing to take accountability, she guaranteed that she would be booked on a felony charge without the opportunity to control her own narrative. She traded a hit and run for a guaranteed trip to the county jail, cementing the painful reality that while you can run from the twisted metal and shattered glass of a crash scene, you can never outrun the consequences of the evidence you leave behind. It leaves us with a difficult question about human behavior under extreme duress. Do you think Stacy throwing her elderly father under the bus by claiming he was driving was a calculated, malicious legal strategy? Or do you think it was just the blind, desperate panic of a severely impaired brain grabbing at the nearest lifeline? Let me know your thoughts in the comments.